This brings us to our speaker for the day, and her name is Randi Suskin. She's been with us many times before. And when I spoke to her last night, I asked her, what was her awakening? Because one thing we like to know here at Circle is just how everybody came to this place, how you came, not the circle, so to speak, but how you came to this awareness of your own inner light. And Randi shared with me that she'd shared that before in Circle, but if anybody wants to ask her that in Q&A, I'd be glad to share it. Just planting that seed. Okay. 2 seeds, right? Okay. Randi shared with me, well, today she shared with me, she's from Brooklyn, but you won't tell that by her accent, but just to ground her in the past, that's where Randi hails from. And then she's brought to sort of this area, a little north of around Princeton area. So she comes for about an hour today to come and speak with us. And she shared with me that speaking is not her first love. She loves coaching. And I don't know if Jet, you could put Randi's information up on the chat. So if anybody's interested, they could get in touch with her. Randi, you want to tell Jet what to put up there?
The website is
You tell me and I'll tell her.
Life Coaching.
Life Coaching by Randi is with a Randi with an I is the web. What .com? We gotta have the .com in there. Oh, you got it up there? Jennifer's always on it. Isn't she? So that is it. But today, Randi's going to talk to us about the space within you where you're already perfect. Well, that would be the light, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. It is a space of pure consciousness, the space inside which all thoughts come and go. Our problems arise from losing our bearings and getting caught up in the content of our own thinking. Yeah. That little monkey mind, even when we're meditating, even we're taking those deep breaths, it doesn't shut up. At least mine doesn't, and we have to remind it to take another one and just to gently let it go. And Randi's going to talk more thoroughly about that today. And so I think I'll just bring you up. Randi, Suskin. Okay, thank you, Susan, for all that. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm just trying to calm myself down a little bit. You know, driving here, it was funny because so I come from about an hour away, and I'm not really familiar with the area, especially like back roady things. I don't have any sense of direction, so I depend upon my GPS.
Bring the mic.
Okay. So I depend upon my GPS. Is that good, Sue? This one. Oh, that. Okay. I'm not good with tech either at all. So, okay. So, you know, I'm completely dependent upon my GPS. And today, for whatever the reason, it took me, because I've been here, you know, a few times, a completely different way. And so, you know, I was like, really? You know, because I was on roads I was never on before. And it's not like Brooklyn, it's not like New York. I mean, they're just all back roads. And the old me, which is coming in a little now, but it wasn't when I was coming here, I would have been concerned. Oh, I definitely put in the wrong address. I'm not going to make it on time. And, you know, all these things. But I didn't do that. I just let it be. And it really turned out to be such a beautiful ride because they were just beautiful back roads, like I said, that I've never seen before. So I'm just listening, and I'm also listening to my current mentor talking in the back saying, oh, that would be good to mention, that would be good to mention. But it was all calm and it was all nice. Until the end, it really took a turn of like, but it's okay. So just like go, you know, based on what you shared, which was so nice. And Suzanne, what you were saying about trusting, following the guidance and all that, that's what this is That's what this is all about. Of course, I have everything written out because I'm a nerd, like an A student from long ago. But that's basically what we're talking about. And, and just as a side note with the GPS thing, it's just nice to notice that when you have that on, if you make a mistake, it'll always get you back to where you have to go. And without judgment, it's not like, you dummy, why did you do that? It's like, right? It'll just gently. It was during COVID. I was going to CVS to get a COVID test at a pharmacy that's not too far from my house, but I haven't been too often. And I had an appointment. I don't like to be late. So I put on my GPS. And literally, I'm going down my road, and the place is just minutes away from me, but I wasn't sure exactly where it was. I put on my GPS, and I'm coming up Alexander Road, and it said to go straight. But I was at this pharmacy once before, and I remembered that I had made a left turn before. I literally said to the GPS, no. Right? And I made the left turn, and I drove into a wall of traffic. So, and even then, it didn't like give me a hard time. So what's wrong with you? I mean, I just told you. But it all worked out. I called them and it was fine. So it really is about listening. It's about listening, to those. Sometimes it's a little louder with the GPS, but those whispers, it's all about that. And that's just what I'm finding. I'm coming into more now in my life, whether I would have wanted to or not, to just do that, to literally do that more and more, because that's really where it's at. That's where the gold is. There's no doubt about it. So the ways we get there, not always so great, not always so easy, that's for sure, but that's the bottom line. So, okay. John O'Donohue, an Irish poet and mystic, has been quoted as saying, "Your soul knows the geography of your destiny. Your soul alone has the map of your future. Therefore, you can trust this indirect, oblique side of yourself. If you do, it will take you where you need to go. But more important, it will teach you a kindness of rhythm in your journey." I'm sorry, Susan, do you want me to speak? You can't hear?
He's having a hard time here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, I'll speak louder.
That would
I'll
be
speak.
great. We want to hear your voice.
Oh, that's it. You got it. Okay. So I love that. It will teach you a kindness of rhythm in your journey. A simple interpretation of this quote may be, we're being asked to step into the flow of this beautiful life. When we get stuck, as humans do, the way a stick may get stuck in a running stream, at times it can take just a little nudge to get us back into the flow. It's when we get caught up in the content of our thinking, we lose our bearings and temporarily lose the ability to navigate well through whatever the difficulty there may be at that time. I always enjoy losing one of my little buddies, my snow globe, as a representation of what's being said. This would be like a representation of when we have a whole lot of thinking going on. But as it settles down, we're able to see what's inside. And you'll see when it settles down that there is a crystal, very peaceful marble Buddha inside. We always do better once we're settled down. Always. It's then we have access to our extraordinarily simple, loving wisdom that's speaking to us 24/7, 100% of the time. I like ballroom dancing. And there was a dance that you too? There you go. And there was a dance I was being held in a place that I'd been to before, about 25 to 30 minutes away from where I live. But it was like a last minute decision. I really just wanted to go and get out. But it was during the times when we were having those big like rainstorms, those blinding rainstorms that would just kind of show up. But again, I wanted to follow the nudges and I just kept on getting ready to go. So I got into my car, no rain. Maybe 5 minutes into the drive, the skies opened up and one of those blinding rainstorms started to come down. In the past, I would have absolutely just gone back home and not continued on. But again, in listening, it said, just keep on going. So I did. And about 15 minutes later, I was on a part of the drive that was on a back road. And literally the clouds parted. And to my left, there was this really bright, the only shining sun there is, but it was very bright shining sun. And then I looked to my right, like just, and I saw this amazing, incredibly beautiful double rainbow. I mean, the colors, the light that came from it, it was so bright and so strong and so clear and so double. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I literally started like screaming in delight. I was just so happy to see it. And it accompanied me all the way, until I got to the place. I get to the place and it looked like the parking lot was full. It was full. And it was like, oh, okay. But I don't like to park far away, especially because I'm coming out at night to walk out to the car by myself. But again, keep on going. Actually, at that point, what else was there to do? So I kept on going because I thought about maybe trying to get a spot on the street, but I kept on going and I got to the front of the place and there was literally one spot there. And I pulled into the spot and the car in front of me had in capital letters on its license plate, experience amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was one of those things that worked out better than I could have imagined, and it was really simply by pausing, a few seconds, even if 1 second here and there, just to kind of follow the prompts, the unfoldment, the nudges that came from within. That's all it was. So that was love. That was guidance moving me forward. And yes, we'll never have a more loving, loyal, wise friend than that. In truth, we aren't ever more than one thought away, maybe one song away, one dance away, one nap away from our innate well-being, our best selves. So as always, as we remember, as we can, and as we're willing, we want to reach for a better feeling thought, which will bring us to a better feeling because we are experiencing what we're thinking. When we're in a better feeling, new levels of perception and inspirations can come to us. As has been quoted, a mind filled with love and good feelings cannot go wrong. We can see a lot more from the 50th floor than we can from the first floor, okay? So the sooner we catch ourselves and we make this shift to a better feeling thought, the sooner we'll return to our center. So imagine you're sitting in front of a fireplace, wearing your favorite sweater, which this happens to be mine, I'm just saying, and some sparks fly onto your sweater. So what are we going to do? We're just gonna, right? As soon as possible, we'll brush it off as soon as possible. And hopefully no harm is done. And this is what we want to do if we're moving towards shifting towards a better feeling thought as soon as we're able. And ideally, if we do that, to kind of just soak in that for a little bit. If we attain that, just kind of soak in that for a little bit. When we do it, we're in the present moment. We are made for what is, not for what isn't, such as the past. It's over. It's stored thought. It can be so tiring and so burdensome at times. And we aren't stuck with yesterday's song. We don't have to keep singing that song. We could move on to what God or love wants us to live today, or better yet, just this moment. Feelings are love in disguise. I'm sorry. Let's see the notes. This is what happens. I'm sorry. And the future. And the future. It isn't here either. We really can't know what's going to happen a moment from now, or what we're going to have for dinner in 3 weeks. We can't know these things. We're made for what is. And as Sid Banks has been quoted, isness is my business. We're living in a need to know basis, not a moment sooner. That's something that we could rely on. Feelings are love in disguise. They give us a real-time read on our thinking in the moment. They indicate what the quality of our thinking is at the time, whether or not we can trust it, which many times we can't. But our feelings are a terrific, divinely engineered guide. They don't get it wrong. They are divine invitations, inviting us to go back home. So let's do a little exercise. When was the last time that you felt the way you would like to feel all the time? When was the last time you felt the way you'd like to feel all the time? And whenever that was, it doesn't matter. It could be 5 minutes ago, 5 years ago, 50 years ago. It doesn't matter. And please think about that for a moment. And the question I'd like you to answer is, what did that feel like? If you just put a word or two to that, what did that feel like? And when you're ready, you can just please call it out. And then we'll ask a couple of people from Zoom.
Clarity.
Clarity.
Presence.
Clarity can move mountains. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Presence.
Presence, clarity, presence, invigorating,
Joy.
joy,
Love.
Joy.
Peaceful.
Love.
Peaceful.
peace. Okay, peace. Thank you. Thank you. And did anybody from there, Linda, want to share, or I'm not sure how that goes.
Not even sure.
Oh, okay.
Just said beauty, peace, and love.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so clarity, peace, love, invigorated, joy, 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 joy. And we got a few joys, right? So I would like to say that that is us. That is us. That's what's always there underneath the noise of our habitual thinking. Something I like to do when I know I'm worked up or running on limited capacity, kind of like when I feel like I'm on 1 to 2 bars on my phone instead of a 5, which I know because of how I'm feeling, is as soon as I remember and willing and able, I place my hand on my heart and I close my eyes and I take a breath and I say, home. It's not about maintaining this feeling. It's knowing it's there, even when we can't feel or see it. I was recently watching 2 of my grandchildren while their parents were, and my beautiful 7-year-old Demba Claire started I'm so mushy, I'm sorry. Started crying before she was going to sleep. Well, not so bad, but she missed her parents. And as I sat with her and started to try to comfort her, I noticed that there was a little notepad next to her bed on a little table. And she had written on it, my grand, she spelled grand with an E on the end, which I did not correct at the time. My grand love is all I need. And there were a bunch of hearts all around it. I asked her about what she wrote, and she said it was just something that she had thought of. So as you can imagine, I was thrilled and told her how wonderful that was, that it's true, and something that we could both think about if we're feeling upset about something. And she agreed, and she went right to sleep. It was so good to know she hadn't forgotten this yet. I'd love to think on some level she'll always remember what I've been working very hard to know for over 3 decades of work. The truth that love is the truth behind everything. Love is the truth behind everything. Everything is designed so that we choose love, our divine invitation. Because in choosing love, we change the story and we change it forever. It says in the course that one of the person who helped Helen Schuckman, the scribe of the course, what got her started on all this is the man that she was working with, Bill Thetford. They both worked at Columbia, and they weren't getting along. And one day he was so frustrated, and he said to her, there's got to be a better way. And it wasn't too long after that Helen, who described herself as Jewish, as an atheist, didn't want to have anything to do with anything having to do with spirituality. She started to hear a voice shortly after that. And she didn't want to tell anybody about that because here she was very, polished, education. It's all about the mind, all those things. And people who would say that they were hearing voices in their head and that, were deemed crazy. But about 3 months after, she said to Bill, Bill, I keep hearing this voice in my head. This is A Course in Miracles. Write this down. And she said, what should I do? And he said, write it down. And out of that came the course, 669 pages, right? A manual for teachers and a workbook. I mean, and it's quite amazing. So anyway, but I'm saying too, with this all this love stuff I talk about, that is the better way. I knew this for sure when my sister came to me in a visitation a few years after she passed. She said, Rand, something like that. Are you okay?
It's a heat over there. It's like pulsing.
Oh,
That's the way it is.
okay.
No, it's all right.
After she passed, and she said, Rand, all this stuff, referring to the drama, that's not it. Only love is real. She didn't know it when she was informed, but I know she knows it now. And now, so do I. I'd like to mention a couple more things I've been learning about the gift of thought and how well we're made, and then we'll move on to the Q&A. One of the habits of thought I've had for as long as I can remember is thinking I had to have things a certain way on the outside in order to make myself feel better. For example, I've had what I thought were wonderful plans for other people's lives. If only they would blah, 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 then I would feel better. It never works. Or I continually examine and try to fix all the things that I thought were wrong with me and feel worse instead of better. I've spent so much time, and certainly still do at times, misusing my thinking and creating a whole lot of stress. What I didn't know was I am not my history. I am not my problems. I am not my accomplishments. I am not the confusion, as Indy Ari says in her beautiful song. I am not my age. I am not the mistakes that I have made. I just thought I was. Thank you. It was a misuse of thinking. I'm realizing more and more that I'm in charge of my own state of mind, that nobody or nothing outside of me has anything to do with that. Nobody outside of us gets to decide what goes on inside of us. Nobody outside of us gets to decide what's going on inside of us. It feels a little strange and even scary at first, but these things usually come through. They become more apparent over time. But when I remember and feel the truth of this, it's such a big relief. Something that's helped me realize these things was shown to me by a wonderful teacher, Mavis Karn. So if you make a fist, what are some of the things that you can do with this fist? You can punch someone or yourself. You can pound things with it or just walk around with it like this. But most things would be quite difficult or maybe even painful to do that with it to ourselves or to others. But it is ours. We can choose to do that if we want to. What can you do with an open hand? You can hold another hand, feed yourself, make things, dress yourself, open doors, use tools, pet animals. You can wave, gesture. And I have a friend now, he's become a colleague and he's from Thailand. And he said, in Thailand, he goes like this. I give you many kisses. Wait, see it? It's there. I give you many kisses. We could do things like that. We can do amazing things with this amazing tool. We're in charge of it. It doesn't go off and do things by itself. I remember a teacher from long ago saying that we need less of this and more of that. And it's the same thing with our thoughts. We're in charge of the divine tool of thought. We're either using it in a kind way or we're misusing it. We can get better at using it. It can be our best friend. But if we don't use it wisely, it can create quite a bit of habit. We could feel, though, if we're using it in service to ourselves or against ourselves or others. We could feel if we're using it in service to ourselves. We could feel if we're using it to create pain, confusion, stress, fear. The feeling will tell us all that we need to know. We don't even need to know what we were thinking in order to know whether or not we were using it to be mean to ourselves. We'll know the difference between using a hammer to pound nails or hit ourselves over the head with it. Everything is designed so that we choose love. Where are we going to place our attention? What are we going to lead with? Being unkind or kind to ourselves? Drama or truth? Fear or love? Thinking or loving? What are we going to choose? Over to you.